Welcome to Leaders and Learners, where we control the narrative and center voices that systems try real hard to silence. Today's conversation is not comfortable, not sanitized, and absolutely necessary. I am talking to Corey Arthur, an incarcerated artist and filmmaker who co directed the documentary, The Short, In Exchange for Flesh, from inside a New York prison alongside filmmaker Sandro Romani. Let that sink in for a second, okay? This film exposes the strip frisk, a practice prisons call procedure, but anyone with a conscience would call humiliation and abuse. Using recorded calls, buried footage, and firsthand testimony, this project turns surveillance into storytelling and control into resistance. The film is already making waves on the festival circuit with an early acceptance to Slam Dance and a New York premiere at Dances with Films New York. But more than awards, listen, this is about accountability, dignity, and what happens when people locked inside the system still manage to tell the truth louder than those running it. Okay. This is filmmaking under surveillance. This is art as evidence. So, you know what? Let's get into it. How you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having us on, Tanya.
Awesome, awesome. Now, I want to get right into Corey's story. So, Corey, let us know how you are doing today.
I'm doing well. I'm in solitary confinement, but other than that, I'm doing excellent, healthy, and still in the fight. Very much so.
Listen, you co-directed this film inside of prison. Walk us through what that actually looks like. How did you get this done, practically and emotionally?
Emotionally, it was hard. It was 20 years in the making. 20 years I've been waiting to take that shot. And then once I hooked on with my bro, unbelievable became absolutely achievable. And it went from emotional highs to moments to just outright doubt to fleeting moments of fear at points in times. But then there was that feeling of success, victory, and that point of no return where we was at. But we knew no matter what, no one could take this from us, mission accomplished. So it's about filmmaking. It was about the human experience. It was the romance of a young man finding his destiny in a prison. That would be my bro Sandro. And the story cycle of me helping him do it. There's just a lot of things that play out. Goliath, David versus Goliath. One man who's standing in front of a tank. But at the end of the day, what it is how we resist as a community and smile and that behavior and doing more than just talking about it, but actually going out and doing it. And that's how we got it done.
I hear you. Listen, I want to get into this. Strip frisk is the official language, but abuse is your lived reality. Why was it important for you to name that gap on screen?
Because here's the thing, it has more than just an effect on me. It has a triple ripple effect and outward to society. It's about the way we treat people as people that makes it a perpetual harm. Is a social behavior that should have been eradicated decades ago. But as long as we still find that barbaric policy acceptable, we'll always be a step behind humanity, the way we think we see ourselves as opposed to the way we actually are.
I appreciate you sharing that. I want you to tell us what risks you have taken creatively and professionally to make this film?
I've been called everything from a pervert to a type of freak to a liar. I mean, I've been put in the box for this as I'm sitting in the box now for calling these people out for what they're doing. Using the system as a system of rape and humiliation, dehumanization. Strippers has no penological interest. And that's been proven time and time again, and that's what this film exposes. It exposes one's behind these sickest secrets. Now, like they tell you in any healing circle, a person is only as sick as their sickest secret. So, why is it that true on a society level?
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's that. I guess it's hard for me to deal. It's hard for me to process all of this because this is also something that happens not just in prison, right? This is happening in our society as a whole. We currently have the leader of the free world who has been accused of such things. So my question to you is, does this translate outside of prison walls?
All right, a person has to perform this service, and this person is usually, ordinarily a prison guard. This gives this person a false sense and a dangerous perception of power over a human being that they don't have. And it reinforces that this behavior is normalized, and it shouldn't be, and they think is lawful, and it really isn't. And then these attitudes will become prevalent in outside relationships. The domestic violence level of officers is staggering when you look at it. And you can't deny there has to be some correlation between the sexual violence that they implement in prison and the sexual violence that is pervasive in their personal lifestyles outside of prison.
Thank you for sharing that. What do you think audiences usually miss about incarceration that this film will force them to confront?
What you have to, what they call humanity, the duplicity, the hypocrisy of rehabilitation and human domination. Well, what this is really about is humiliation. There's nothing healing or restorative about any of that, especially when it happens all the time.
Yeah.
You said that one of the things you've said is that you want accountability, and I want to know from you, what does accountability look like beyond just awareness, beyond people knowing about it? What does that look like for you?
Millions of people have undergone this. Millions. That's millions of people traumatized. I want those people given help. I want them given access to the resources they need to understand what was done to them. If I was some little white girl from the suburbs, they'd be giving me all types of what's the word I'm looking for? Legislative help bills, but because I'm a brown and black small person, which is more jail time. And the most modest help they do offer comes in the services of mental health. Pump them full of pills and shut them the fuck up. Don't let them tell their stories. If a story has to be told, we'll tell it for you. No, those days is over. I don't need prayer. I can talk for myself. Prayer and protect the prison system from accusations of rape. Not the other way around.
How has filmmaking and making this film changed how you see yourself inside a system pretty much designed to erase your identity?
I see myself as no longer powerless. Like I told you, when this happened to me in 2002, I was a little motherfucker. I was small. Everybody was bigger than me, intellectually, physically, and emotionally. It took me 2 decades to grow into myself, into my advocacy, into my warriorhood, into myself as a man, into myself beyond victimhood, beyond the worst thing I've ever done. And the cumulative effect was an advocate that would absolutely refuse to be quiet any longer. And I knew how to fight without hurting other people. So I was primed and ready to do this.
Man,
that's what.
That's pretty powerful. I wanted to tell me, and this might be difficult for you or not, but what would you say to other incarcerated artists who think that their work will never leave those walls?
Take your shot, homie. Don't stop firing until you hit something. And even after you hit something, you keep going. So you can't hold a brush or move a pen anymore.
Mm.
This is who you are. This is what you do, regardless of where you are and where you stand.
And as difficult as this journey has been, tell me your brightest spot in making this film. As much as you had to struggle to get it done, what was the bright spot? What kept you motivated?
Being able to work with people like Sandra Amani and Emily Duncan and a couple other people I worked on this project. In fact, everybody. People like me don't get chances to do shit like this, especially someone like me. So the fact that I was able to be a part of his work and to be a part of a culture of healing and resistance, and that was the greatest part to me. I'm gonna, because word is that I'm gonna die a scumbag in prison. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I know at least some of it isn't, because before I died in prison, I got a chance to work with some really good people on social work for. And I don't care whether you're in prison or not. That's a hot ticket, homie. I was glad, honored to be on it.
When you said someone like you, who is someone like you? What does that mean to you? What do you mean?
All right, so pardon my French, but what I mean by someone like me, I mean a bottom figure. Like, when the rap from the 90s talk about a certain street persona, they talk about someone like me. Like, when they make songs about either you sling crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot, they mean someone like me. When Tupac was talking about Brenda, he was talking about someone like me. The ones who's all placed in the pie chart is for patriarch pain. We the ones that were slotted to fail, slotted to take up the blood and sit in the prisons.
When the legislation or policy is written about the story you told, what do you want people to say about this movie and the work that you've done?
We did what we were supposed to do. We didn't let our ancestors down. People like Martin Luther King, he knew. He stood up there and he put that work in, not so that he could see the benefits. Anybody who does this work on this level understands that the benefits from their work is not going to be in their generation. I mean, very rare does that happen. So they understand the work they do is to be paid forward. And they understand the work that they're receiving was put in years before them. Okay, great. I understand it. And so I understand that the work I'm doing now isn't for me, it's for our grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren. This is my contribution. And also acknowledge I'm able to do this because other people before me did their part. So this is me doing my part, even though I fucked up.
What kind of legislation or policy change would you like to see? Be as specific as you can.
Abolish the strip first, period. No one should be forced to do that. No one. This is 2026. No one in America should be forced to bend over and spread their butt cheeks. No one.
I appreciate that. Give me your last words to anyone that might be interested in going to see the film, but might be on the edge. They're not sure if they should. I don't know how if I'm gonna be okay with this. Like, give me your last pitch to people on why they should support this film.
Because on any given day it can happen to you or someone you love. It could be or even ended that exchange. Someone you love could be in law enforcement administering this rape, or someone could be on the other side being raped by law enforcement. This is why you should get it.
Sandra, would you like to add anything before we go?
Yeah, I would just say, everyone, Americans kind of shift in their consciousness, I think, have a tend to shift prisons and prisoners into kind of the corner of their mind, right? It's separated from their daily life. And I think a lot of Americans do that. And we're kind of obsessed with this retribution and justice system. And, we live in a culture of prison as Americans, but I think it's important to remember that, there are, as Corey was describing, a lot of, direct and indirect connections between what's happening inside prison and how it's carried out into free society. And, on the other hand, you're one mistake away from being in prison yourself. You never really know what could happen. And then you're going to be landed in a situation where you could be strip frisked. So I think as Americans, it's important to not only, stop removing prisons and prisoners kind of from your general framework of looking at the world, but also to have and build empathy for folks who are inside, because, I think it's important as humans to do so.
How did you wind up working on this film?
Well, Corey and I have been working together for about 3 years on a variety of projects, non-film projects. We put together an art exhibition of his work in Brooklyn in 2023. Corey's a painter and an artist first and foremost. So we got his work out of the prison he was at, and a group put on an art exhibition at a Brooklyn gallery in Crown Heights. And from there, I kind of started building a creative partnership with Corey, and I went up to, I think a lot of the work has to happen in person, right? Because everything's surveilled, and even if this phone call we're on with Corey is being listened to, and emails, et cetera. So I started going up there, and we spent, it's like a 6-7 hour day, getting to know each other, listening, talking. And on one of the visits, Corey mentioned kind of offhand that he had been strip frisked over 1,000 times in his life. And I had, up until that point in my life, I had no idea what a strip frisk was. And as Corey started describing, what it is in policy, like what the actual policy says versus how it plays out in reality, it became pretty quickly obvious that if you actually performed what is written down in policy in free society, you could end up in prison, right? So that question, that was sort of the seed of, oh, maybe we can make a film about this. Mm-hmm. And I think, that started a 15-month collaboration that we really had to do in secret between me and Corey to build out this film. And we ended up bringing cameras inside prison in two New York State prisons and taking testimony. And then that opened up kind of like the scope of the project. and here we are. And we're at Slam Dance in February. Really excited to take it to the West Coast and get audience reactions.
Well, before I let you go, give from your perspective, last pitch to audiences to go out and see this.
I think, if you're interested in being asked a hard question or multiple hard questions that sit with you and you'll probably take home and still be asking yourself, if that interests you as a film experience, I think you'll like the film. You're going to learn stuff about what happens behind closed doors, what's happening in unseen places, inaccessible places. But really, I think if you want to be asked a hard question, this film will do it. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Corey, for being here. Sandro, I appreciate you. I'm wishing you guys such luck with all that you have going on. And please keep us posted on how we can continue to support.
We will. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you. You guys have a good rest of your day. God bless you. Hey, thanks for showing up to the podcast where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. When you get a sec, take a moment, leave a comment. What you think about today's episode, and share it with someone that you know could use the gems that were dropped today. Follow and subscribe. You don't want to miss who's coming up next. You never know who could show up here and what they could say. For your professional needs, marketing, PR, communications, and leadership, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Sand and Shores, or hit us up at sandandshores.com. Again, thanks so much for showing up. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.